Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, SweetTechPlanet. Today we're going to be covering what happened in WWDC 2019, so let's get started. This year's WWDC was packed with features upon features for all the softwares. WWDC really exceeded my expectations. So the show started off with tvOS. There weren't any big things, but there were some useful features. For example, the home screen is completely changed. Now it's more modern and futuristic looking, and there's also full screen previews that show you the latest and most popular movies or TV shows. Also, Apple TV now supports multi-user profiles. It's kind of like Netflix, so the parents can have their own profiles and the kids too, so everybody gets tailored recommendations. You can use the new control center to switch between the profiles. Apple Music is also supporting the multi-user profile, so everybody can listen to what they like. And as a bonus, you get real-time synced lyrics. Later this fall, Apple TV is going to support the Apple Arcade, and you can't really play any games with that tiny remote. So Apple is extending its support on the Apple TV to Xbox One S controllers and PlayStation 4 DualShock controllers. Last year's screensavers were space themed because Apple worked with the International Space Station. However, this year they're going to go under the water and the theme's going to be under the sea. So that's all for the Apple TV. Now talking about watchOS. With the new watchOS update, Apple brought 5 new watch faces. They vary from modern all the way to classic analog. There's also some new complications that tell you decibel levels, the strength of your cellular network, and the chance of rain. The watch can also mark time with haptic signals and chime sounds. Another cool little feature is that you can hold 2 fingers on the watch and then it'll read out loud the time to you. There's also an improved Siri that can answer more questions. For example, if a song is playing, you can ask Siri, what song is this? She'll listen to the song and then she'll tell you what song it is. Next, talking about apps. Apple has finally added the App Store to the Apple Watch. This way you don't need your phone to download apps on your watch, and this means that you don't need the same app on your phone as you have on your Apple Watch. Apple has also added a new voice memos app, an audiobooks app, and the calculator app. Another little bonus, there's going to be support for Animoji and Memoji stickers in the Messages app. In watchOS 6, Apple is really focused on the health perspective of everything. So for example, there's this new thing called Trends. Trends basically compares the last 90 days to the last 365 days and tells you how you're doing in exercise, standing, calories burned, steps, things like that. So if you got better in the last 90 days, it'll show an arrow up. But if your trend went down, then the arrow will go down, encouraging the user to get more active. There are also some other health-centered features in the next watchOS update. And by the way, the new watchOS update will be compatible with all the watch devices. The new macOS will be called macOS Catalina. In this update, Apple has taken away iTunes and instead added iMusic, podcasts, and Apple TV. This just simplifies everything in the iTunes app because everything else was just so overwhelming. With iTunes out of the way, the 3 other apps will take its place, and they'll be exactly like their iOS versions, allowing you to hand off music, podcasts, or even movies or TV shows. One good feature for developers is that now macOS Catalina is allowing multi-device support. It's not for all the devices, it's just for Mac and iPad. So now the developers can make iPad apps that also work on the Mac. There will also be many revamped apps. For example, the Photos app. The Photos app is just going to be more clean and modern, and there's also going to be a new way to see your photos. There's going to be options to view all the photos at the same time, to view them by dates, to view them by months, and then to view them by years. Also, now the Photos app is much smarter, allowing it to recognize important dates in your life. Then the Notes app. The Notes app has a new gallery view, allowing you to see all your notes in a more organized way, and then you can share entire folders with people. And just like the iPhone, the Mac is also getting an update to the Reminders app. The previous Reminders app was horrible, but this one is supposed to have a better user interface, and it's supposed to be more easy and friendly to use. Lastly, the Safari app. In my use case, Safari is already a pretty good app. I mean, it can do basically everything pretty well, but it's not on that Google Chrome level yet, and macOS Catalina takes it one step closer. So finally, there's a bookmarks bar. Instead of having to go all the way into the search tab and then look at your favorites or bookmarks, there's just going to be a tab like the bookmarks bar in the Google Chrome. Also, there's going to be Siri suggestions. So for example, if somebody sends you a link of apple.com in your messages, then Siri will find that and it will automatically give you a suggestion to check out the link. For those pro users, one really asked for feature is Sidecar. Sidecar basically allows you to use your iPad as a second display for your Mac. There's also a new app that combines Find My Friends and Find My iPhone, and it's just called Find My. That's it, there's nothing after that. It basically just tells you where everything else, and it just combines the two apps, making them into one. Find My can find iPhones that are off or sleeping because it uses this Bluetooth technology to where it sends signals to iPhones or iPads nearby, and then those iPhones detect your iPhone, and then they send a signal via Bluetooth back to Apple, and then Apple will tell you where your iPhone is. Also, Apple wants macOS to be easy to use for everyone. That's why they're announcing voice control. This way you can use only your voice to control everything in macOS. So that's all for macOS. Now onto iOS. The best new feature of iOS 13 is the dark mode. Everybody has been asking that for so long. There are also some new wallpapers that support changing between the normal and dark mode, kind of like the dynamic wallpapers in macOS Mojave. There's also a new Photos app that's just so much better. It has everything that the macOS has plus more. For example, editing. Now the editing user interface is much more clean. Also, there's a new portrait effect called High Key Mono, which just makes the background white and the subject in monotone. And another big feature is videos are now getting editing. You can rotate them, add filters, add color grading, everything like that. Privacy is also a big thing with Apple. That's why they're adding this sign in with Apple feature. Have you ever been to some website to where it says sign in with social media, like sign in with Facebook or sign in with Google? Well, those websites can track you because they're getting information about your social media. So instead, Apple has this sign in with Apple feature. You can click this on your favorite apps or websites, and then Apple will create an encrypted email for you and a login and password for that website. So then whenever you visit it again, it'll be secure and they can't track you or find your information. Another thing, HomeKit is getting support for storing video in iCloud. Although Apple says this is free, it's not really free. First of all, you need an iPad, Apple TV, or HomePod. On top of that, you either need the 200 gig or 2 terabyte Apple iCloud subscription plan. Next up, talking about the Maps app. It makes all the renders of buildings, streets, cities, towns, everything more realistic. There's also a new feature called Look Around. It's basically to where you can click on a certain location and it'll give you a 360 view of everything in that specific location. This year, Siri has a new voice. In all the previous versions of Siri, Siri would take voice samples from the actor, but that tended to sound very choppy. So now in iOS 13, Apple's creating this useful feature called Neural Text-to-Speech, to where it creates just a more fluid and smooth sounding voice. On the topic of Siri, the HomePod can also learn voices of family members. So just like the Apple TV, you're gonna get personalized results based on your voice. AirPods also have 2 new features now. First of all, they can read out messages to you as soon as they come, and then they'll wait for you to respond. And then second, in iOS 13, AirPods support wireless audio share. So if your friend has AirPods and you have AirPods and you want to watch a movie on one device, you can share the audio with the other set of AirPods. iMessage is one of the big plus points of owning an iPhone, and iOS 13 just makes it a lot better. First of all, obviously there's the new dark mode, which makes it just so much better. On top of that, there's Animoji and Memoji stickers. And even if you don't have a device like an iPhone 10 or 10s that has Face ID, you can still have Memoji stickers. You can create them and use them as a profile picture, kind of like WhatsApp. Lastly, there will be quick path typing. This is basically to where you can move your hands around the keyboard while keeping your finger on the screen. This is like glide typing in the Gboard. Next up, the Reminders app. The Reminders app, just like the macOS, got an entire new user interface. Obviously, it supports the new dark mode, and it's just more easy to use. And then the last major feature of iOS 13 is performance boosts. Face ID will be 30% faster, app downloads will be 50% faster, app updates will be 60% faster, and app launches will be 2 times faster. Now, those are some bold claims. We're going to have to test those out. Apple has finally released the new OS for iPad. It's called iPadOS. It has dark mode in it too, and it has awesome new wallpapers that are dynamic, like the ones in iOS 13 and macOS. Let's start talking about slide over and split view. In the slide over tab, you can now have multiple apps. You can swipe through them easily like an iPhone 10 or 10s. This just makes your workflow much smoother. Also, now in split view, you can have 2 of the same apps open at the same time. So you can have Safari one page open on the left and then another website on Safari on the right. There's also a new home screen that takes advantage of the amount of real estate and space that you have on your iPad. So now you can add widgets to the home screen. The Apple Pencil also now has lower latency and a better way to take and edit screenshots. Apple has spent a lot of time on the gestures, so now you can copy, paste, and undo with 3 of your fingers. The keyboard can also be now moved around, so you can move it to the size of an iPhone keyboard in any corner so you can type with your thumbs. Also, quick path typing is also on the iPad OS. The Files app also got a lot better. This just makes the iPad feel more like a computer because now it supports sharing folders and you can plug in an SD card or hard drive into your iPad. Safari also got better, giving you more of a desktop class browsing for the massive iPad displays. There's also a new feature that shows you all your downloads and if they're pending and how much they're done. So that's all for this. Obviously, this video wasn't a full feature list for each of the OSs. These were just the main things announced at WWDC. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SweetTechPlanet. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.